Ethan never imagined a family get-together would be the spark that ended his marriage. For 5 years, he'd given everything to make his wife, Mia, happy. Long shifts at work, every bill paid, every dream of hers supported. The one thing he couldn't change was how her relatives felt about him. Born into old money, with sprawling houses, fancy cars, and country club memberships, they saw him as nothing more than a working-class outsider who'd somehow wormed his way into their daughter's life. Every gathering felt like an exam he was destined to fail. That particular year, the family met at her uncle's lakefront estate. Within minutes of arriving, the digs began. "Still got that beat-up truck, Ethan? Did that little business of yours ever take off? Word is, Mia's covering most of the bills." Laughter rippled around the table. He smiled through it and said nothing. Mia sat next to him, silent too, and that silence cut deeper than any joke. Later, her cousin Derek stood and raised his glass for a toast. "Here's to Ethan, living proof that anyone can marry up." More laughter followed, and even Mia cracked a smile. His face went hot with embarrassment. Then her mother turned to him and said plainly, "Honestly, Ethan, you owe Mia an apology. She could have done so much better." The table fell quiet. He searched his wife's face for some sign she'd stand up for him. Instead, she just nodded. "Maybe you really should apologize and let it go." Those words landed harder than every insult combined. 5 years of devotion, 5 years of sacrifice, reduced to nothing in an instant. He rose calmly, no shouting, no scene, and simply said, "You're right. I'm sorry." The room smiled, satisfied, certain they'd won. None of them knew he'd just made the biggest decision of his life. Before sunrise the next morning, he booked a one-way flight and left without a word. Tucked inside his laptop bag was a secret worth hundreds of millions of dollars. As his plane climbed into the clouds, Mia's phone began ringing non-stop, and the truth of who he really was about to shatter everything her family believed about him. 3 years before that dinner, Ethan had quietly put money into a small tech startup, not because he had cash to spare, but because he believed in what they were building. While the family mocked his old truck and plain clothes, he was quietly building something real behind the scenes. He never bragged, never flashed money around. He wanted to be valued for himself, not his bank account. But Mia's family only measured worth in dollars. When his plane touched down in Singapore, his phone lit up with alerts. The startup had just closed a massive acquisition, and his stake was now worth over $800 million. He sat alone in a hotel room, staring blankly at the number. No celebration, no rush of joy, just quiet disappointment, because the people he loved had already revealed exactly who they were. Within a week, the story broke publicly. His name appeared in business outlets. Reporters wanted interviews. Financial commentators called him one of the year's breakout success stories. That's when Mia started calling. 32 missed calls. He let everyone go to voicemail. Then came the texts. "Ethan, please call me back. I had no idea." Reading that line almost made him laugh. No idea about what? That he had money? Because she'd known exactly who he was all along. She simply hadn't liked that version of him while it was inconvenient. Soon the rest of the family came knocking too. The same relatives who'd mocked him were suddenly eager for dinner invitations. Her uncle wanted to meet up. Derek suddenly called him family. Ethan ignored every message. For the first time in years, he felt genuinely free. Then one night, Mia showed up at his hotel, eyes brimming with tears. "I made a mistake," she said. "I never stopped loving you." But after everything, he couldn't tell if she loved him, or the man the headlines had invented. Then she said something that stunned him completely. She'd known his secret for years. If that was true, Why had she stayed silent while her family tore him apart in front of everyone? Mia couldn't meet his eyes. "I found the investment papers 2 years ago," she admitted. His stomach dropped. "You knew the whole time?" She nodded slowly. "I didn't think it would turn into anything this big." That confession stung worse than the dinner ever had. She'd judged his worth by what his bank account might someday become, not by his character, his loyalty, or his love. Then came an even harder truth. Her family had pressured her relentlessly to leave him, insisting she deserved someone wealthier and more powerful. Rather than defend their marriage, she'd stayed quiet, because some part of her had agreed with them. In that moment, everything clicked into place. The dinner hadn't been the real betrayal. It had simply been the moment the mask finally slipped. Months later, Ethan quietly acquired a controlling stake in a company owned by Derek. Legally, fairly, no tricks involved. The same cousin who'd humiliated him at dinner now found himself answering to a board Ethan controlled. The expression on Derek's face during their first meeting was unforgettable. But that wasn't the sweetest part of it all. The real victory was peace. Ethan started charities, funded scholarships, and backed young entrepreneurs who reminded him of who he used to be. He chose to build opportunity instead of chasing revenge. A year later, he attended another family gathering, this time as a guest, not a punching bag. No one mocked him. No one joked at his expense. No one questioned his success. They treated him with the respect they should have shown from day one. Mia asked if they could try again. He looked at her for a long, quiet moment, then smiled softly. No, not out of hatred, but because he finally respected himself. He walked away with something worth more than any fortune: freedom. And for the first time in his life, he no longer needed anyone's approval to know his own worth.